Hey guys, it's Abdul for the good folks over at Leon Tailoring, 809 North Delaware, downtown Indianapolis. You know, this month, my wife and I are celebrating our 12th wedding anniversary, so I was looking at some pictures from our wedding from 12 years ago, and notice how good I look in that tuxedo from Leon Tailoring. Not just me, but all my groomsmen as well. And so if you got a big formal event or a wedding this fall, or maybe wedding next spring, think about our good friends over at Leon Tailoring. Larry, Norm, Kim, and Judy would be happy to see you and happy to make you look as good today as I did 12 years ago. Well, you'll almost look as good as me as 12 years ago. I'm just kidding. Swing on by Leon Tailoring. They'll be happy to see you. 809 North Delaware, downtown Indianapolis. Well, we continue our conversation with candidates for public office. Today we're talking with Josh Lowry. Josh is running House District 24. That's currently being held by Donna Shibley. So, Josh, thank you very much for being with us. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
So let's ask, how's the campaign going so far?
The campaign is going better than I ever could have expected. There's so much excitement and momentum, especially in Westfield. You have a place where, to be honest, a lot of Democrats thought they were the only one, and to find out that there were so many of us, it's not just become a campaign, it's become a family, and it's been a lot of fun. I think it's given us a lot of commonality, and then I'll tell you, with Jennifer McCormick leading the ticket, there's just more excitement than I've ever seen since I've been around politics.
So what are the big issues up in Carmel, Westfield? So in your House district, apart from property taxes to a certain degree.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you hear about that everywhere. Look, overwhelmingly, abortion rights are still number one, and honestly, maybe even more so than abortion rights, IVF. I mean, a lot of people in that area have used IVF or plan on using IVF, and they're worried about any type of legislation that could, infringe on the ability to use IVF. The other thing's public schools. Man, so many people move there to go to the public schools. And, I mean, if you ask any realtor, why are people moving to Westfield, Zionsville, Sheridan, or Carmel? And I have parts of all of them in my district. And it's because of the public schools. Some people, they got a job in Indiana. A lot of people can work remote now. They can live wherever they want. And they just want to make sure their kids go to good public schools. And, I mean, that's a huge divergence, obviously, is how much money has been taken from the public schools to send to private schools, how much are we going to fund our public schools, and how are we going to treat our teachers at public schools.
Also, in addition to vouchers and public school vouchers and property taxes, any other big issue out there that folks are worried or concerned about?
Yeah, those Department of Education curriculum standards. So what I've always found interesting, well before I ever ran for office, I had knocked doors for a lot of other candidates before. And a lot of times what you see on the internet is not what people are talking about.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Misinformation on the internet? Really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Next thing you tell me there's gambling going on here.
No. Come on. It's illegal. Yeah. Of course not. No, like I always use the example. One of the most common things I hear is, roundabouts, roads, stuff like that is not going to make the national news. But for something like that Department of Education standards, when they put those out, that next week in a week, that was every door. Because most of the parents of District 24, they don't necessarily think their kids have to go to college, but they want that to be an option. And so why you would set the bar low enough that someone's not even going to qualify for, our great in-state colleges, that really rubbed a lot of parents the wrong way.
Our guest on the program today is Josh Lowry. Josh is a candidate, House District 24. That is Carmel Westfield, running against Donna Shibley. When you go door to door, what has Donna Shibley done or not done that makes you think you'd be a better fit for that position?
So to clarify, I'm not actually running against Donna. She is not running.
Okay, that's right. Yes, she's running.
Sorry, Representative Shibley.
Open seat. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually Hunter Smith, the former Colts punter, that I'm running against now. So when I go door to door, I'll tell you, a lot of people, they're concerned about the extremism, right? I think if you've lived in this state long enough, you've seen it go blue, you've seen it go red, you've seen a lot of different things. But there was always usually a more moderate tone to whatever had happened. And, you have Democrats have voted for Reagan, Republicans have voted for Clinton. And when they see some of these extreme politicians and policies that are coming forward, that's not the Republican Party they grew up with. That's not the moderate Democrat they grew up with. That's not with anything they grew up with. And there's a lot of that concern of more of those extremist policies and culture wars being brought into the General Assembly instead of working on what needs to be worked on.
One of the other big issues, too, that's also out there, let's kind of circle back. Before we get to property tax in, what is your background in particular would make you qualified to be, represent House District 24 and the folks of Carmel and Westfield?
Yeah, so my two biggest qualifications, one, my wife and I have been foster parents for over 6 years. We know so much about the system and how you help develop a child. And I don't just mean for the foster system, because what we've learned is what happens to a kid in the first 10 years of their life so greatly affects the rest of their life that we have to start putting more effort into kids when they're younger and quit treating the outcome instead of the underlying issue. Number two is, look, I'm an attorney. I practiced.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the reasons so many people have so many jokes for us is because of John Grisham, all those books he wrote, and he was an attorney. So I don't know what happened to him in his first year of practice that did that, but I worked at the Attorney General's office for 5 years under a Republican administration. I came in under Zeller, so I know how to work across party lines, and I specifically did a lot of constitutional law. I got to argue in front of the Seventh Circuit. I've done jury trials, and look, we pass so many laws that get struck down as unconstitutional, and I don't think that the average voter knows every time one of these laws is struck down in a federal court, the state ends up having to pay attorney's fees. And I don't remember exactly what year it was, but there was one year where the state had to pay out $4 million plus to the ACLU. Well, if you just quit writing unconstitutional laws, then you wouldn't have to do that. And so I'm hoping that's one of the things that I can help is to bring an actual constitutional scholar's eye to it.
One of the big things about Indiana, particularly education, which is a big issue in your district, has been education reform. And it seems like in Indiana, I'm a big believer in charters and vouchers, a big believer in reform, but it seems like we do reform, then we let it sit for 2 years, and then we're like, oh, time to do it again. And it seems that schools don't have enough time to catch up because the system is in place until new rules, new standards are put out. And it seems to me that schools are always playing catch up. Are you hearing that from teachers?
Yes. Yeah. As far as like they feel like they're having to play catch up, but also I'll be honest with you, when I talk to a lot of teachers, what I see is I think they're getting thrown under the bus, right? I think there are a lot of different reasons that go into why kids may not be performing as well as they did in the past. And the only answer that the General Assembly seems to come up with is blame the teachers. And look, my wife and I have fostered 12 different kids. We've adopted 5 of them. They've all had some sort of trauma, they got behind. Look, when you're in the foster system, you're not retaining anything. And through Westfield's public schools, all of my kids have not only caught up but excelled. I don't believe for a second that the teachers are the problem. I think we have to take a more holistic approach to helping kids and families, and we would see improvement. And so the way we keep moving around all the requirements and stuff, I still think we're getting after the symptom and not the underlying cause.
Vouchers and charters, your position?
Not a big fan. So I do want to separate. To me, the vouchers to private schools and charter schools are kind of two different issues, because I do see some charter schools where they're taking care of a niche that needs to be taken care of. We have the Options Charter School up in Westfield that helps certain students, and that might be an okay fit. But where I start to have a problem with is the vouchers. If someone is deciding to send their kid to a private school and you make $200,000 a year, I don't see why the taxpayer should have to fund that decision. I mean, a lot of times the people that are for the vouchers are also the same people that were yelling we shouldn't do student loan forgiveness. So I feel like it's got to go one way or the other there when they're trying to argue that. Either you're okay with funding private education or you're not. And that to me is just, look, I know you've seen all the lawsuits. With these private schools, they're not structured by the same requirements as public schools. So there's no requirement for separation of church and state because a private school is technically not the state. But now all of a sudden our public funds are funding those schools. And it takes away the separation of church and state. It takes away the oversight. And also let's be honest, it's given a handout to wealthy people, especially with the way that they want to remove the cap off the vouchers and say anyone can have it. I don't know why my tax dollars need to go to fund a billionaire's private education.
Our guest on the program today is Josh Lowry. Josh is a candidate for the Indiana House of Representatives. He's running House District 24. That's a seat currently being vacated by Donna Shibley, a Republican, and his opponent in the upcoming general election in less than 3 weeks is Hunter Smith, a former Colts player. Another big issue that's been out there has, of course, been the issue of property taxes. Lots of assessments went through the roof. Argues because simple supply and demand. The supply went down, demand went up. Simple economics. Yeah. But everyone's put out a plan to reduce or eliminate property taxes, either with or without a mechanism source. What is your position on property taxes?
Yeah, so this one is hitting people hard. Just about 2 weeks ago, we were knocking doors in Sheridan, and there's a set of income-adjusted homes. And when I was talking to all of them, because of the property taxes going up, the rent is going to go up. Now, all these people, the ones that I talk to, they're living off of Social Security. And, if their rent goes up 15%, their adjustment to their Social Security was not 15%. We have to come up with some sort of way that stabilizes it. Now, I think people need to remember property tax serves a purpose. Nobody likes to pay a lot of taxes, but everybody wants the fire department to show up if your house catches on fire. But we do have to remember.
You mean it's like heaven? Everybody wants to go, but nobody wants to die to get there?
Yeah, basically.
My mother used to say that all the time.
Look, we do have to at some point confront. There is an entire, I don't know if I would say generation, but there has been an entire, theory behind economics that has led a lot of people to believe we can cut taxes while increasing services. And, well, if we cut taxes, that'll make up for what we cut, and then somehow we can also increase services. Look, if I quit my job, I can't buy another car, right? You have to balance this stuff out somehow. So the property taxes are necessary, but we do have to find a way to stabilize it, because when they jump so much, it can really hurt somebody, especially that's on a fixed income. I do like a lot of what Dr. McCormick talked about, because one of the reasons that so many communities have to rely on property taxes so much is because the state has taken so much funding away from public schools. I mean, it's not grown with the same rate of inflation over the last 20 years. I know Representative Ed Delaney had a whole presentation on this, and I do not remember the numbers off the top of my head, but effectively, because we have pulled so much funding from the state funding for public education, a lot of the communities have to make it up now in the property taxes.
Josh Lowry with us on the program today. Josh is a candidate for Indiana House District 24. The seat being vacated by Donna Shibley. He's running against a Democrat, Hunter Smith. Josh, another big issue, also in the neck of the woods, has been roads and roads funding. I know lawmakers are going to look at road funding from a comprehensive perspective. How would you like to see our roads paid for?
Yeah, so I think our gas tax is too high. I understand the idea behind a use tax aimed at something, but it's something like that is regressive, right? Somebody that is a millionaire doesn't notice the gas tax. Somebody that makes $10 an hour, that makes them make decisions. And when we have we're so obsessed with lowering our corporate tax and our income tax, it gets to the point where you're going to get diminishing returns, because at some point you have to pay for these services. And if some of us have benefited more from society because of these roads, then I think it's fine that some of us pay a little bit more to fund those roads.
So what does that mean?
Look, I don't think we need to keep lowering the income tax on the highest earners. I mean, I know we keep rolling it back, and they're wanting to even get rid of the income tax. That's not going to work. And I notice even Senator Braun noted we can't just scrap the income tax. I mean, if you look at the states where they actually do not have an income tax, Florida's got tourism, Texas has oil. There's got to be some sort of alternative revenue source, and in Indiana, we just don't have that.
Josh Lowry with us for a few more minutes on the program today. Josh is running Indiana House District 24 to take the seat being vacated by Donna Shibley. He's running against Democrat Hunter Smith, former Colts player. Another big issue, Josh, is out there is, of course, the campaign. Got Donald Trump at the top of the ticket. Got Mike Braun running for governor. Micah Beckwith, his lieutenant governor candidate. Micah Beckwith, his Hamilton County. When you go door to door, what are people saying about the Republican ticket versus the Democratic ticket?
So in Hamilton County, I will tell you, in 2016, I saw a lot of Trump signs, and now in 2024, I'm seeing a lot more Harris signs than I am seeing Trump signs. what I hear from a lot of, now, first off, I hear a lot of Democrats that, of course, aren't going to support that regardless. But what I hear when I talk to a lot of Republicans is this isn't the Republican Party they remember. You got former President Trump talking about using the military on his political opponents. You've got Senator Braun running for governor, and he's talked about whether or not interracial marriage should be decided at the state level or not. And now you have, Micah Beckwith saying we should fire all government employees based on if they use pronouns in their emails. The people that I have talked to are the people, a lot of them, they got Ronald Reagan posters hanging up in their house, right? And this doesn't sound like anything they remember. And there's a concern about the extremism. And I think we need in this state to have two functional parties to allow the people to choose from. And we even saw with the convention, for the Republicans that, Braun wasn't even able to choose his own lieutenant governor, basically. And what I hear from the voters is just this is extreme and not the Republican Party that they're used to.
We've got about 3 weeks and some change left before the campaign election day. What's your strategy? What's your game plan?
Try not to sleep. We're knocking as many doors as we can, putting out. I do a lot of videos trying to talk to the voters. We're putting out some every day, calls, emails, texts, just everything. Now's the time to lay it all out. There's no more, nothing to hold back for at this point, and we just got to try to get as many voters to the poll as we can.
How are you doing with early voting? Any idea?
I'm sorry?
How are you doing with respect to early voting? Any idea what the...
Oh, yeah. I know it was higher than it has been. So in Hamilton County, they I will tell you what throws it off is they stagger the fall breaks. And so I believe Carmel's was last week's. This week you have, I know Sheridan is on fall break. Westfield's next week. So that bites into it. But also, so in District 24, we don't have any early voting sites within the district until October 23rd. So it hasn't been that huge as of yet, because right now you have to drive pretty far out of the district to go to an early site. On October 23rd, multiple sites open up within the district, and that's when we'll really see it take off.
So if someone wants to get a hold of you, find more about your campaign, your positions, where can they reach you?
Yeah, so Lowry for Indiana, that's the word for FOR. That's my website.
Is it Lowry with an E or just a WRY?
No, just E. Or no E. All the people with E's are posers as far as I'm concerned. Lowry is just like Kyle Lowry, the former Toronto Raptors player. He and I are going to be best friends one day. He just doesn't know it. Lowry for Indiana, LOWRYFOR, Indiana.com. But Lowry for Indiana is also my handle on everything: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
All right. Well, Josh Lowry, candidate for Indiana House Representative, House District 24. We're going against being vacated by Donna Shelley. Good luck. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.